my slide? See my, I'll start from the beginning. Are you gonna let me? It seems like it's working. So can folks see that?
Renee, you're all set. We can see your
Oh, great. Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you. So anyway, so thank you for this opportunity. We are so super excited, super informal. Of course, I can't see the chat box, but folks, please, we're all doing little ones, right? So I always used to say, completing a sentence is like, what does that mean, right? So please feel free to ask questions. Folks can help monitor if folks are raising their hands or things in the chat box. That'll be great. So welcome. One of the pieces that Kristen and I always like to share is to set the stage about the Parents Place of Maryland is our mission. Our mission is one of empowering families as advocates and partners, so that education and health, and education means early childhood education. It means everything birth to 26. Because at the end of the day, we want to help families to help them to improve their children's outcomes. Our focus is primarily children with disabilities and special health care needs. But when we say children with disabilities, we mean children that are suspected, children that are at risk, children where families just aren't sure about, anything basically that families may have a concern about. But we have a real commitment to equity and diversity in our work. So who are we? So we are Maryland Special Education and Health Information Center for the state of Maryland. We've been doing this just a smidge over 30 years. So what that really means is we serve all children, like I said, birth to 26, who have a disability or are suspected with a disability or at risk, and a child with a special health care needs. And I'd like to spend just a second when we talk about children with special health care needs. I just want to be really clear about what that means. So a child with a special health care need is a child whose health condition is not routinely managed by a routine physician care, right? And I like to use asthma as an example of this, so that you kind of understand the broad spectrum of the support that we offer to you all and to the families that you support. So sometimes we have children with asthma that, for the most part, it's pretty routinely managed, right? Maybe they might use an inhaler, but they're not necessarily, it's all under control. But then we also have children who have asthma that our parents are in the ER with them, seeing pulmonologist, medication isn't maintaining it. And that now is a child with a special health care need. So as you can imagine, our net gets pretty wide, pretty fast with our kids with this. So just to let you know, and we like to do this because we kind of try to be this one-stop shop for families, so that, and for you all, when you call and you have a question, we can answer it. And it isn't like, oh, we can help you with this, but for this, we have to send you someplace else. So we like to be able to do that for families. The other piece we like to say is, we are governed by parents. So we are a nonprofit, and our organization is governed by parents of children with disabilities and special health care needs from across the state and in all walks of life, as well as our team who work with our families are 100% parents or family members who have children with disabilities and special health care needs. So I'm a mom as well. Except for I'm one of the old ones. My daughters are grown, fully adulting and all those kinds of fun things. Kristen, on the other hand, is a young mom, and she's kind of starting out her journey. Kristen, your little man is 6 now?
Yes,
is that right?
6. Yes.
Just turned 6. So she's got a long road ahead of her. And the reason we share that is because we like families to know that even if we may not have the same exact experiences, so both Kristen and I are moms, but we have 2 very different experiences, but we do have that lived experience of getting diagnoses or hearing something that we don't understand, or an IFSP meeting or an IEP meeting. So we have that lived experience of families helping families at our organization. So that's a little bit about who we are. And this is how we do it. So here are some of our services that we do. So we provide one-on-one assistance to families and professionals. So literally, even though we're all virtual still at PPMD, you pick up the phone, give us a call, leave us a message, and you will get one of our parent educators. You go on our website. We've got a place where you can put on an online help request form, super simple, both in English and in Spanish with that. So we're super excited that we offer both of those options for families, as well as for all of you out there. Resource sharing. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of our resources a little bit later on. I'm going to let Kristen talk more about them. She's way more knowledgeable than I am. But we really like to make sure that our resources are accessible to anybody who needs them. Our website is one of them. Our YouTube channel, we have videos in English and in Spanish for families. Our Facebook page, our newsletter, English and Spanish. We'll talk about all of that stuff a little bit later. But the piece that is really important for us about resource sharing for families and for professionals, because we think this helps make your job easier, right? I always say Google is a good thing and Google is a scary thing. Sometimes some of the things you Google can turn some things up that you all in the profession and ourselves have us kind of going, can't believe somebody just put that out there. So there's a lot of misinformation that gets out there, which really does not help when we're all working towards the same goal of improving outcomes for children and families. So all of our resources that we share that are on our website are evidence-based, research informed, based on policies or procedures. So in other words, very factual, very non-biased, and they're written to the best of our ability when we can, unless sometimes things are written on policies and procedures because they're based on the law. We really try to do it in very parent-friendly language. We try to keep our resources one page, maybe two at the most, so that it can be kind of that snatch and grab kind of thing. And we did the same thing with our YouTube videos. We try to make them accessible whenever a family, has time to do that, or yourselves, right? Because things are so crazy busy with those pieces. So those are some of the things that we like to do to make sure, because this all is still grounded in the mission of our organization, that we believe the family is the expert on the child, right? And we're not walking in their shoes. We don't know what's going on. And so we give them the information so they can make the best decision for their families that works for them. We also do some military outreach. So Maryland is 8th in the nation of the highest concentration of military families. So you all that have been doing this work, there's a whole passel of extra stuff that comes with our military families. So we do that as well. And then one of the other pieces that we do, which Kristen's going to talk a little bit about, is our leadership trainings as well. So we're a small organization. We cover the whole entire state of Maryland, but there's a lot of need. And so there are families, Kristen is a perfect example of this. She started off in our organization as a mom calling for support. She went through one of our leadership trainings, which is baby leaders. So she was ready to take that next step. She was like, okay, I think I have things a little manageable. So I want to do this next step in my leadership journey of how can I help other families? How can I pay it forward? Which bada bing, bada boom, she got hired as our early childhood specialist. So there is nothing better than hiring one of our families who can speak firsthand to going through our programs. But these are families that are ready to do this next step. So Baby Leaders is one of our training programs we do, which is probably the one that's most relevant for you all with our younger population. Then we also do older leadership training for families who have youth that are 14 and up. We also do some general leadership type trainings. So really just helping families to hone their skills. And then families do different things, right? They either help another family, they might serve on advisory groups, they might serve on committees, work groups, but it's just a really nice way of elevating the family's voice, because at the end of the day, that's our customer, right? Our families and our kids. So we're super excited about the opportunities that we're able to bring with our leadership trainings. In fact, Kristen's going to be doing Baby Leaders here in the next little bit, that application. So I can assure you that you all will be getting that email about if you happen to have any families. How's that for a shameless plug, Kristen? All right. So at the end of the day, we want to help families to better understand what their rights are, how to communicate more effectively with everyone that is touching their kids, right? But we recognize that this is really emotional for families, right? This is our baby, right? So it tends to make us very emotional, and rightly so. So we help work on communication skills, understanding all of the rights and responsibilities around education, health, how to help them to obtain some appropriate services. Disagreements happen because, again, it's very emotional. So we work on those pieces. And then we really make sure that we're connecting families with community resources, right? At their local county level, regional, statewide, because it really does take a village to support all of our families all the way around. So I'm going to take a moment. This is our motivation. I was going to say, Kristen, where's your little, is that your little man by the tree?
That's mine. Yes, ma'am.
Isn't he so cute? So this is our motivation. Like I shared, that we're all parents, and so just a little snapshot. Plus, we all are moms, and we love. Mine are not up there, but we love to plug our kids whenever we have the opportunity to do that. But I'm going to pause for just a second because that was a whole lot of information about PPMD. Before we jump a little bit into a couple of our programs, like Learn the Signs, Act Early, and those kinds of things. So I thought I would just pause and see if anyone had any questions or comments, or if I said something that you were like, what did she say? Oh, I see a hand raised. I have to put my readers on. Linda, yes. Hi.
Hi. So I have a question in terms of, are you seeing an increase in grandparents that you are working with that are serving their grandchildren? And are you seeing an increase in children with disabilities or special care needs due to prenatal substance abuse? And do you have parent leaders that kind of support in that regard?
All right, 3 fantastic questions. So yes to all of that, right? And when we talk about parents, and I should have said this, so thank you for asking this question. We use parents as the broadest term possible, right? So we mean that could be grandparents, that could be older siblings, that could be aunts, uncles, it could be adoptive, kinship, foster. But yes, we have been seeing a marked increase for several years around grandparents raising little ones as well. And yes, we also have seen that issue around substance abuse, definitely any substance abuse, again, with the biggest umbrella with all of those pieces. And yes, we do connect families that we do it more in an informal way. But yes, we do connect families that way. And we also have several partners that also have families in their communities,
Can I see your
specifically,
shoe?
yeah, with substance abuse. Yes, ma'am.
Huh? When you get a chance, can you bring it down?
Bring down. I'm sorry.
It wasn't directed to you, Renee.
Oh, okay. Well, I've been known to talk too loud, so I wasn't sure if that was me.
No.
Oh, thank you. So yeah, so we also, that's part of those community resources and connecting families. Absolutely.
And the cost for services or
Another,
eligibility requirements?
I love you guys. You are the best. We're free. We're free. So our services to families are free, and there is absolutely no eligibility criteria whatsoever. We don't care. We don't care your income level. We don't care your immigration status. I take that back. There is one eligibility category. You have to live in the state of Maryland. Other than that, that's it. And even if you don't live in the state of Maryland, we're still going to take care of you because we have sister organizations across the United States and in the territories. So, yep.
And so the disability doesn't have to be a diagnosed disability. You'll help through the process of seeking care and getting a diagnosis.
Yep. Yeah. So, so it's at risk, suspected. Yes, it's any of those pieces. And then, yes, we do walk a family through what it is that they need to do as far as, accessing the system for evaluations and those kinds of things. Yeah. And then what are their options if they choose not to go through the system and they want to do a private evaluation, which can be incredibly expensive, and talking about how families can work with their insurance companies around some of that as well. We always try to connect families with what is free, though, and what is with under their rights and responsibilities. So yeah, absolutely. And we're seeing a lot of this due to COVID. We're fondly calling them COVID babies in our office. So these are babies, and I'm sorry because I'm older. Again, my daughters are 31 and 27. So anything under that is considered a baby to me. But what we're noticing is our little ones in particular, and of course our big kids too, the social emotional trauma of going through COVID. It's just been, it's been huge, right? But the other piece we're noticing is we're also calling them our COVID babies. We're seeing significant delays in language, right? Babies haven't been in social settings. They're not seeing those peer social interactions, not being in childcare or preschool services or preschool settings or interacting in a lot of ways. So we're seeing a lot of delays across the board, as well as, families not realizing, kind of feeling very isolated as well. So we're seeing a lot of those issues, which I'm sure you guys are seeing the exact same thing, right? Yeah, so absolutely. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
Good morning. I would like to know, my name is Michelle. I'm the Family Center Director at a site where we provide care for the students. So many of the students, they're teenagers. So would they also be able to benefit from these services as well, being as though if they're under 18? And the other component to that is we provide services for alternative school, which extends the age to 21.
Right. Great question. So the short answer is yes. The longer answer is if they are under 18, we are going to have parents' permission, right, to talk with them, but we can do that. Our druthers would be to see if we could work with the family and the youth together, because we'd like them to be on the same page if that's possible. But we do have, as you guys understand, we have to have parents' permission. If they are over 18, and they are now their own guardian, they have their age of majority, then yes, they can absolutely call us as well, and we can work with them. And we also have several partners that support us in that work as well.
Just a quick question. I know you mentioned that there were some bilingual resources. Is that across the board? So is that just for a certain part? Like, would that just be for intake, or would it be support throughout?
Oh, great question. So that's support throughout. So we have 2 full-time bilingual parent, well, one is our equity and engagement coordinator, and the other one is our bilingual parent educator, but they both see families. So it is soup to nuts that we do everything in Spanish for them, including a Spanish YouTube channel, a Spanish Facebook page, and a quarterly Spanish newsletter as well. And then if there are other languages that are needed, then we also help with that, but we use a language line for that. All right. All right, great questions. By all means, please keep them coming. So I'm going to talk a little bit about, and I'm going to pull Kristen in here just a little bit. So these are some, currently we have several grants, but one of the grants that we have right now is through the CDC around Learn the Signs, Act Early. And I'm sure you all are very, very, very familiar with all of these resources in some way, shape, or form, right? But
Renee,
yeah,
sorry to interrupt you. Can you advance your slide just one forward to make
yeah,
the
sure.
CD? Yep, there we go.
There you go. Thank you. Appreciate it. And so obviously you guys know the CDC's mission is really, it aligns perfectly with our mission, which is the same thing that you guys are trying to do, right? Is that we really want to provide the richest environment, and really, we all know that research shows us, right? The earlier we start, the better off all of our kids are going to be, right? And so these materials are definitely high quality. They definitely, it integrates with all of these Act Early. And one of the pieces is that, which we have an ask for you all at the end of this, is around continuously improving the research and evaluation with this. But one of the things that we do here is, because you guys, particularly as things are opening up, you're seeing these kids more often, like 5 days a week, playing, interacting, or starting to play, starting to interact. And you may see some things, right? And so we really want to help parents and you all feel really confident and comfortable around learning the signs. And then really, how do you act early on those concerns? And we are one of those resources that can help you when you are really trying to act early on any concerns that you might have. We're also helpful here if you're trying to have that conversation with a parent and it's hard, or giving our information to families with those pieces and stuff like that. And you guys know, and we really want to talk about, we know that families talk to doctors, but sometimes, I'm sure you guys have heard, all of your families have shared this, right? They'll share their concerns with the doctors, but sometimes the doctors are taking a little bit of a wait and see attitude. And especially in just everything we've experienced since March of 2020, lots of our little ones and lots of our kids and our school age kids, they've already lost, I can't believe it, 2 years. We might as well just say it's 2 years, right? I love, Melanie, how you're shaking your head. Yes, right. It's really, let's just face it. It was 2 years a year into this, because that's how old and tired we were all feeling with this. This is like the worst version of Groundhog Day ever, right? And really about how to get a referral to a specialist or early intervention. And there's just lots of ways that families can do a lot of this themselves and not necessarily have to wait on a doctor. And you guys can be amazing partners in this work with us. And so you guys know the developmental milestones, right? Taking the first step, first time, smiling, bye-bye, pointing at something, the milestones, because again, you guys are seeing these kids, right? How they play, learn, speak, act, move. And again, just wanting to know that there's just all of these, they're obviously they're developmental milestones, but they can be a lot to remember, right? And there's a range. So this is just some of examples of some really great tools that are available, that we have available here in our office. These are available online with these pieces. So Kristen, do you want to talk just briefly about each one of these?
Absolutely. Thank you. One of the things that I love about these materials is that they break down everything by the age of the child. So you have the milestone moments booklet, which is in the lower left-hand corner, which pulls everything in together into one resource, but you also have individual sheets that a parent could look at and say, my child is now 6 months old. These are things that most children at the age of 6 months, and right now the CDC is defining most as 75% or more, children can do these things at this age. One of the things that I really, really love about these materials is they encourage the celebration of what the child can do instead of focusing solely on what the child may not be able to do yet. And I think that that's really important for a lot of parents, because we really sometimes focus on, for example, I focus a lot on what my son cannot do. He cannot speak with his mouth, but there are a lot of things that he can do that also need to be celebrated. So all of these materials take that, this is what we expect to see, but also look at it through the lens of celebrating what the child already can do. So we have resources for families, there are resources for physicians, resources for early childhood educators. I love the milestones in action in the center. A lot of people learn really well by seeing. So for the majority of these resources, you can see what this actually looks like. They also have absolutely fantastic app where you can track the milestones. My little one is 6. This didn't exist when he was little, and I wish it had, because it puts everything you would want to know in one place, including if I see these things that aren't happening yet, what can I do about it? How can I get help for my child? And then there are some fun things available. All of this is free from the CDC. Like board books and little activities that you can do with your child. So really there's a fantastic amount of information out there, both physical things that you can have in your hands and things that you can look at through the app or through the website.
Oh, thanks, Kristen. So we love free stuff. And if I'm not mistaken, Kristen, they are in the printed, a lot of the materials online are in a lot of different languages.
Yes.
So there's English, Spanish. I mean, they even have Haitian Creole. So for those of you that are like on the lower shore, I'm sure, have we got some lower shore folks here? As you guys know, there's a large Haitian Creole population down on the lower shore as well. But I mean, they have Russian, Korean, Chinese, so lots of languages, right, Kristen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, yay, I remembered. That's awesome. The app is great. So many of it's great. I mean, listen, this is fantastic. Being able to download this. We wish the CDC would have asked us how to have designed the app to make it a little more user friendly. But you know, they didn't. But it still is a very, very, very good app. And so we highly encourage everyone to download it as much as humanly possible, right? And we've talked about this, about how it encourages, and I love how Kristen talks about this, right? We have a tendency to always see the glass half empty. I never will forget it as a mom, the phrase that just still to this day breaks my heart, and it's, you know, they used it with me, was she will never. So both of my daughters have disabilities. Kristen's shaking her head, yes, she will never, right? And these are the things I heard from like infancy. And, you know, thank goodness there were people in my life like PPMD that really helped me to understand that, you know, there are some things about she may never, but there are also a lot of things that she can. So trying to help families see things from a strength-based way. And as you guys know, that's always the best way to work with families with that. You know, we talk about, you know, talking with parents about the concerns. One of the things I want to, and our organization does this, right? As two things that always break our heart, and I think Kristen would agree with me, is one, when we get a family who calls us who has a child or a young person who's 14 or 15 and has never found us and said, how did I not know about you? Which is one of the other reasons why we're here today sharing this information. That's number one. And number two, there's a lot of times when families contact us and no one has been honest in the sense of what's really going on, right? They have tendency to say things like, oh, well, yeah, it might be this, it might be that. We as parents always want to know the truth, but we can do it in a way that's super kind. So that, because families really do want to know. There has never been a parent in my 30 plus years of doing this is, please don't tell me this information until my child is 14. The sooner you tell me, I want to know it, right? And I'm sure we can always agree with those pieces with that. And then, of course, we definitely are always around encouraging families to act early, but we also respect when families say, you know what, right now my life is just too much, I can't. And we're always like, that's fine, we're here when you're ready, with those pieces. So, but we do hope that we've developed a rapport with families. And a lot of times families are very susceptible to that. Well, you're a first-time mom, or you're just overreacting, or it's a boy and boys are always. I'm sure you guys have all heard these phrases at one time or another. But it is definitely, if there is any sort of concern, it's just always best to get it checked out. And those are some of the things that we work with that. This is one of our other projects we do here. And actually, Kristen is our Act Early ambassador for the state of Maryland, which is lovely because it helps to expand the reach of Learn the Signs, Act Early, and it really connects all of this work. So it is really trying to help spread the word around really just good early childhood development, just early childhood in general, and just the wealth and depth of resources that are at hand and stuff like that. So was that a question or yes?
There was the request for the PowerPoint.
Absolutely. We will absolutely get that to you all with those pieces. And so that's one of the pieces that's really nice, because Kristen is the Act Early ambassador for the state of Maryland. Also means she gets connected to all of the other Act Early ambassadors across the United States. And what's amazing about that is if we're seeing something that we're struggling with here in Maryland, in general, or if you guys are seeing something around early childhood, specifically early childhood, but you can say, hey, and we can tap into a whole lot of other resources, which is absolutely amazing and awesome with those pieces. And then obviously, again, the connection to the Learn the Signs, Act Early. And as you can tell, it is a collaboration with the CDC, HRSA, which is the Health Resource Service Administration, Health Bureau, and AUCD, which I always forget. Is that the Association of Universities Centers? Kristen, I always forget what it stands for.
Association of University Centers on Disabilities.
Thank you. Yes. Which is really nice because a lot of times that taps us into the people that are doing some of the most premier research at the university level with those pieces. So that's one of the pieces that we're super excited about as well. Oh, thank you, Kristen, for putting that in the chat. So I'm going to pause here for just a second and see if there are any questions. Just real quick, is anybody else, how are folks using the Learn the Signs Act Early resources, or has anyone used the Milestone Tracker app, or have families shared anything with you? Oh, no one, no. Oh, good.
One of my teachers who have used the CDC tracking app and shared it with the parents.
Oh, good. But I'm also glad to hear that some folks hadn't heard of this. So that's nice. So good. Awesome. That is great. Ah, awesome. And please access things off of our website. Super easy, ppmd.org. It's an easy peasy with those. Oh, and then on our YouTube channels, we've created playlists. So there is actually, when you go to our YouTube channel, and if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, there's an early childhood playlist. You might see a certain person's face on one of those videos who shall remain nameless. You're going to live in infamy, Kristen, with that. So the project that this is part of our ask, why we're coming here today also, is we also have a project that Kristen is leading up around our Act Early response to COVID-19. So like I shared before, Learn the Signs Act Early has been around, right? But the CDC and the AUCD really did realize they really were like, okay, COVID is just whammying our families like crazy. So our job is, this initiative that we're working on with partners is really how do we target families that have been the most impacted by COVID, and how do we promote resiliency in this work, right? It'll sound kind of familiar, right, guys? Because it's going to talk about improving early identification and developmental delays and disabilities using the Learn the Signs. It's going to so basically, how can we get these tools in as many people's hands as we humanly possibly can, right? As you know, and then definitely around resiliency, and how we can help promote that with families. And again, families, that's the big umbrella, guys. So it's grandparents, aunts, uncles, adoptive, kinship, foster, all of those pieces with that. Part of our piece that we do with this COVID-19 project is a stakeholders group, a stakeholders team. And this is kind of, and Kristen, if you could talk, if you don't mind talking a little bit about the stakeholders team and kind of one of the other reasons, one besides sharing the information, kind of we have a little bit of an ask as well with this, if you don't mind, Kristen.
Absolutely. So one of the values of the stakeholder team that I found so far is getting these materials out to families and to providers, childcare providers, to pediatricians, et cetera. So when we have these stakeholder team meetings, we talk about how each of these groups can help us to spread the word and how we can help each of these groups to spread the word. Everybody's busy right now, right? So if we look at the Maryland chapter of the American Academy of Pediatrics, they're pediatricians. They're very busy people. If we look at the people at the Maryland State Department of Education, they're very busy people. But making the connections between people and able to share the resources. I just got an invitation to speak at the Maryland chapter of American Academy of Pediatrics meeting. I'm available to do that. I can spread the word to those pediatricians. Hopefully, they'll then either take the materials and share them with their families and or connect their families to us for assistance with PPMD. So it's really become a fantastic group of people who we all work in different realms with the kiddos, but we all work with kiddos. And we all have the goal of making sure that our children and our children's families, again, that broad term of our children, our families, get intervention as early as possible because we all recognize the importance of that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kristen. The two areas that we targeted the most intensely, right? We have a universal approach and then a targeted approach and an intense. So the two areas that we have really have been kind of more intensively targeting has been Baltimore City and the Lower Shore as well, because for lots of different factors, but a lot of it is also based on the fact that, you know, the social vulnerability indexes are higher in that area, lower vaccination rates, higher vaccine hesitancy in that rate, higher transmission in those areas. So there's just been kind of a greater need, but, you know, but our ask is really, you know, being connected to all of you in the early childhood, you know, and then definitely working for some, you know, representation on the stakeholder team, right, Kristen? We're always looking for representation, the stakeholder team. And, you know, so really that's kind of our ask as well. Ideas and thoughts around how to help spread this information is another ask. We're always, you know, the more we ask for help, just the better things are going to be with those pieces and stuff like that. So if folks have ideas or suggestions, you can either shout them out. We'll definitely have my contact information. Kristen is really your better go-to person than I am. Kristen's just sweet to not say, please don't email Renee, email me instead. But Kristen really is spearheading this project beautifully. But, you know, we're definitely open to any thoughts or any suggestions that folks may have. But I also want to be cognizant of our time because you have other items on your agenda. So I want to run through these last little resources real quick, if that's okay, Melanie, because or have we taken too much time?
No, actually, we got through our agenda quickly. So you're the last on our agenda.
And of course, we're buttoned right up to lunch, right?
Yes.
So anyways, but so if folks have ideas, please, please, please. We really do want to hear, you know, definitely how we can get this information and representation with those pieces. So please don't be shy. Our social media, which is one of the fastest ways to get our information, is, you know, definitely liking our English Facebook or following us, Spanish Facebook. I've mentioned our YouTube channel, again, also in English and in Spanish. You can definitely check out our website, ppmd.org. Of course, we're a private nonprofit. and there's never enough funds to go around. So we always have that piece. And subscribing to our monthly newsletter, super easy. When you go to the front page of our website, there's contact an expert, which is the easiest way to get one of our parent educators. It's our online, but right next to it, also both are in English and Spanish, is how you can sign up for our newsletter. Our English newsletter is monthly, our Spanish one is quarterly. In fact, I think our Spanish one just went out this month. And then this is how you can get a hold of us. And Kristen, is there anything else that I have forgotten or that you want to make sure? Please chime in.
So one thing that I forgot to mention actually is one of the really cool features of the Learn the Science materials on the CDC website. You can order the materials for free. You can order the flyers, order the books, etc. But they're all digital as well. And you can customize the materials with your organization's information on those materials. So if you were working in a family support center, you can have a CDC sheet that has your name and contact information on the bottom of it. So I think that's a really fantastic way to get both the materials out to people, but also to spread the word about who you are, what you do, and how people can get in touch with you.
Oh, thank you, Kristen. Yeah, that's very helpful because families trust you all, right? You're the known entity. So the more you can customize something like that, then that helps families to also know those pieces and stuff like that. But yeah, so that's just kind of, we did that very fast and very quick. But other questions, comments, suggestions?
Yeah, if you send, Renee, if you send me the PowerPoint, I'll make sure that everyone gets it. All the directors receive that.
Oh, super. We sure will.
Mm-hmm.
And I sent Kristen a chat message just about how maybe she and I can connect about the stakeholder representation, because we do have some ideas for MFN representation, but we're still hiring and doing some thinking related to that. So.
Thank you. I wasn't sure if you had been able to hire anybody yet.
We are working on it. For the rest of the audience, this is our the as to be named title position for our Child Abuse Prevention and Strengthening Families, so statewide director, and it sounds like it might be a really great fit for collaborating with you a little bit more deeply and closely, but that's still a work in progress. So in the meantime, we can figure out how to stay connected until that person is on board.
Oh, great. Thank you. Yeah, I'm sure you guys are, and please let us know how PPMD can help you all. I'm sure you guys are experiencing some of the same staffing shortages that everybody is facing as well. So, please let us know if there's anything we can do. And yes, we do present virtually to parent groups, and absolutely just reach out to Kristen and we can absolutely make it happen. If you are doing anything in person, I do know some areas, sometimes the broadband is not great. So if you are would love to do something virtual, but you're like, our broadband isn't that great, still have a conversation with us. We do have, I'm so glad somebody asked this question. We cover the whole entire state, but we also have staff in regional areas. So we have a parent educator on the Eastern Shore. We have a parent educator in Southern Maryland. So we also have some regional staff, and then the rest of us fill in across, central and across the whole entire, everybody does the whole state, but we do have some regional folks with that. So please also know that.
Oh, where is your parent educator in Southern Maryland?
She is down in, goodness gracious, is it Calvert County, Kristen? Is that where LaShonda is?
She's Calvert. Yes, ma'am.
She is Calvert. So technically Kristen is a what we like to call a central office person, but she is actually in St. Mary's, right, Kristen? You're in St. Mary's County. So we do have, we have the ability to put staff anywhere if for some reason virtual doesn't work. And so if virtual doesn't work, let us know. We have regional staff, we can make it work. And yes, we have 2 fully bilingual staff that serve families as parent educators. So absolutely. And they can do virtual trainings as well. And again, if virtual for your Spanish speaking families is just not something that it works for them, we can also talk about doing things in person. Of course, following the CDC guidelines and all of those kinds of things. So we can, I just don't want folks to think that in person is not an option. Okay. We will make it work. So if anyone needs a bilingual parent educator, you can call our number, and the message is in Spanish. So it'll pop you over to our Spanish. It's in Spanish and our Spanish voicemail. On our website, the contact an expert is also in Spanish as well. So we tried to make it hopefully as accessible as we possibly could for our families who speak Spanish. We tried.
Just a quick question, Renee. So along those lines, would we contact, so because I wrote down Kristen's email to contact to set up to have her possibly come talk to our parents, but we do need the bilingual. So do I not go through Kristen?
Yeah,
Just go through,
you can totally go through Kristen, and Kristen will
Okay.
get you looped in with our bilingual folks.
Perfect. Thank you so much. This is a great presentation.
Oh, you are so welcome. You are so, so, so welcome. Any other questions? You all keep Kristen busy, because I mean, I gotta be honest, she's been sitting eating bonbons this whole time. No, she hasn't. I'm teasing. I am absolutely teasing. Kristen, when are you going to do another shameless plug for Baby Leaders? When's that flyer going out?
The Baby Leaders flyer will be going out on January 24th for the spring cohort. So it's coming up pretty soon.
Yes. So we'll make sure that we get that to y'all as well.
Okay. And I can send you a list of where all our centers are located, the central list.
Thank you. We are still doing it virtually. So, so that makes it nice for families, particularly with little ones, because sometimes arranging childcare for other siblings is difficult. So that does make it a little bit easier for families to be able to access it. And Kristen, I think Tony has a question in the chat about obtaining the milestone in action. Is it on the CDC or order form or order from us?
On the website. They're all on the website. One caveat that I wanted to give right now, if you're looking for the free materials, is they've been doing a vet process over the past couple of years, tweaking some of the materials. So some of them are starting to go. They're not available right now as they get ready to get all of the new materials out. So if you see something you want that's not available right now, let me know. We do, as ambassadors, still have some of the older versions. They're still great materials. They've just done things like there were 15 and 30 months. There were no milestone materials. There are going to now be those milestone materials, which meant having to change a lot of what was already out there. So if you see things that you want, I may have some already or be able to get some for you before the launch of the new materials, which should be any day now.
Yeah, so if anybody has Tony, thank you. If you have any questions about where to find, sometimes I think that CDC website just overwhelms me to no end, even when I get to the Learn the Signs Act Early stuff. So again, if anybody has any questions, please just reach out to Kristen. She's a whiz bang with this kind of stuff. So absolutely, if you have anything at all, Kristen can help you with that.
I have a quick question. Kristen, how far in advance would you like notice to present, like for maybe like one of our parent committee meetings?
So I will say as much as possible, but if you have something that's coming up right away, let me know and I'll see if I can wrap it into what I've already got on my calendar.
And also know that if for some reason Kristen can't do it, We do have other staff as well that do good, that are trained and learn the Signs Act early and all of the early childhood stuff as well, that are backup to Kristen as well. So, so also know that if it's something Kristen can't make work, even though I know she'll move heaven and earth to do it, and stand on her head in the process, we also have other staff that Kristen can, that can support Kristen as well. Well, if there aren't any more questions, thank you so much for this opportunity. Both Kristen and I really super appreciate it. Thank you for helping us spread the word about all of these great resources. And if there's anything that PPMD can do to support you all in your work, you know, that's what we're here for. And again, just thank you so much. And Melanie, we will get you this PowerPoint,
Great.
and we'll go from there.
All righty. And thank you all for very informative